Hi, I'm Paul Brown. I'm here in front of the North Park Abortion Center in Dallas, and as you can see behind me there, the gate is closed. And if you're anything like me, when you hear that the gate is closed in front of an abortion center, you just want to celebrate, right? Because abortion centers are where they conduct abortions, and we know that because human life begins from the moment of fertilization inside the womb, that abortion is wrong, it's murder. And so stopping it is always a beautiful thing. But unfortunately, I stand in front of you today and I'm not celebrating it. There's a couple of good reasons for that. The truth of the matter is that unfortunately, while this abortion center behind me is closed, that abortions are still going on in Texas. And the shocking truth, the really shocking truth is, although you probably know that the Texas Heartbeat Act, Senate Bill 8, was recently passed on September 1st, it went into effect, that unfortunately there might not be a single abortion in our state prevented by that. Will the abortion center shut down? Well, at least one of them has, right behind me. There are more that are open here in Dallas-Fort Worth, and some of those may shut down too, maybe all of them will. But that doesn't mean that abortions will stop or decrease, and I want to explain why. You see, right now in the United States, included in Texas, there's a thing called abortion by mail. There are a number of organizations, some of them international organizations, that are so committed to women having access to abortion that they will send abortion pills anywhere in the world, regardless of what the local laws are of the place where they're sending those pills. One of the most prominent, well-known organizations is called Aid Access. It's based in Austria. They've already gone on the record numerous times saying very specifically that they don't care about Texas laws. Another law in Texas was passed recently making it illegal to mail abortion pills into Texas or within Texas. But the fact of the matter is, Texas law has no standing in the nation of Austria. And so that law ultimately has no impact on Aid Access or other international organizations mailing abortion pills to Texas. And so this leads us to, well, what about the people receiving the abortion pills here in Texas? What about the woman who goes and orders those pills? Well, just has been the case with most pro-life laws passed in any states in the United States over the last several years, several decades. There's no component of either the law that makes it illegal to ship abortion pills or even the heartbeat bill that was passed here earlier. There are no stipulations in either of those that allow for criminal or civil liability for the woman who gets an abortion. So let me unpack this a little bit. All right, generally the again, quote unquote, pro-life argument is that human life begins in the womb. This is backed up biblically. All right, we all know that God creates us. God bestows onto human life something special, the image of God, and that He does form us in the womb. But we also know scientifically that babies, new babies in the womb, have their own unique DNA, separate from that of their mother or father from that moment of fertilization onward. All right? And we push that all the time and say, therefore, to take life in the womb is murder. But the laws that are being written do not follow that logic. If it is murder to kill a baby in the womb, then why would we preclude the person, the primary person responsible for making that decision from any kind of not only criminal but even civil liability? You say you cannot prosecute them. All right, that doesn't make any sense. And part of it stems from the now, I would say, long-standing practice within the pro-life movement, the pro-life community, of first and foremost emphasizing women who get abortions as victims. All right, there's a really interesting resource you can check out, notavictim.com, that really clearly demonstrates the women getting abortions are not victims. All right, they're choosing to get abortions on their own. All right, So all this begs the question, what's the solution, right? What is the solution to ending abortion in our state, God willing, in our nation, in our time? Well, listen, it's not new, again, quote unquote, pro-life bills, pro-life laws that create some obstacle, even some penalty for someone involved in abortion, but fails to prosecute everyone involved for committing what is murder. It's not that. And just, there are two components to this. There's more than that, but two that I want to unpack a little bit more. There's the impact of the law, and there is the justice or righteousness of the law. All right. Unequivocally, I can say that the heartbeat bill is not a just law because it doesn't provide equal protection for the preborn. All right. And to illustrate that a little better, look, if it was legal to kill children from the age of 10 years old and under, and someone passed a law saying, oh, it's actually only legal to kill children up to the age of 5, would you call that a just law? No, because it's not. Nor is it just to allow to kill children up to the age of 6 weeks, and even, you know, furthermore, to carve out loopholes to say, well, the primary person who made the decision and signed on that dotted line to have that child killed, they're in no way responsible, nor can they be held responsible in any way. But then there's the impact part, and so you might be saying to yourself, well, that's all well and good, and you know, we certainly want to consider justice. In an ideal world, it would be a law that we could get behind with a good conscience, but if it's saving lives, isn't that something to celebrate? And I want to say what I said earlier, which is that it's possible that not one single life is being saved due to this bill. All right, and I'm going to talk about some numbers that I have here. There's a couple of resources that I've looked up, and I'm going to share those on this later. But one of those, there's an article from Bustle that identifies, first of all, several organizations that will mail these pills: Aid Access, Hey Jane, Abortion on Demand, Choice. And they also found that Plan C, which is a website people will visit that will give them access to these other groups that they can actually order the pills from, they had been experiencing user traffic of around 500 unique hits per day on their website. The week of September 1st, their traffic in the United States moved up to 86,000 hits in that 1 week, 30% of which were from Texas. 30% from Texas, right? That's massive, right? That's a massive jump, and it's indicative of the problem. But the thing is, I have even more detailed numbers than that. So an obstetrics and gynecology journal stated that in Texas between March and April of 2020, which is when the governor's executive order banning abortions during COVID as a result of the COVID crisis, that during that time, Aid Access, which is just one of these organizations, just one, typically in that same time period, they would have expected 406.4 requests for abortion pills. 406.4. In that same time period, they received 787 requests, an increase of 93.6%. All right, so that's a massive jump in a very short period of time, and in a time where abortion wasn't even as restricted to the same degree that it is now. That was just from one group. That was just from Aid Access. I have a little more data that I think is helpful here. So another study from the JAMA Network said that in April of 2019, there were 4,608 abortions in Texas. In April 2020, there were 2,856. All right, so, and this is at, there are abortions provided by abortion facilities in Texas. All right, so that's a decrease of 38%. Again, as a result of that executive order. All right, but out-of-state abortions increased. I don't have a percentage here, but from February 2020, there were 157 Texans that sought abortions out of state, that at least we have records for. And in April of 2020, again, which is when that executive order went into effect, there were 947. So we jumped from 157 to 947. between the out-of-state abortions and the abortion pills that are being ordered online, it's very clear to see that there is a massive jump in the use of other means to get abortions outside of abortion centers. And some of that was demonstrable during the COVID scare, and again near the beginning of 2020, as we can see. But these conditions that we're in today are even more stark. We're seeing a lot more media coverage over groups like Plan C and Aid Access. And so it's conceivable, I would say even likely, that as many people, as many women as were getting abortions prior to September 1st at abortion centers are getting abortions now through abortion pills ordered online. All right, so that's the impact side of this. And if you're hearing all this and you're upset and you're like, man, what? I thought that we made abortion illegal. I thought we banned abortion. I thought we significantly decreased abortion. And you're mad, well, I would just say you should be. And lest you want to give your Republican senator, your Republican representative here in Texas, lest you want to kind of preclude them of responsibility and say, man, well, they did their best, they did what they could. I just want to counter that and say, no, they didn't. All right? No, they didn't. They were, on many occasions, both in this most recent legislative session and in past legislative sessions, given opportunities to pass laws that would have made abortion truly illegal in Texas. And they not only did they not vote for those, by and large, they didn't even give those bills an opportunity. They were never even heard on the House floor, all right? And I'm talking about the legislators, but this goes all the way up to our state Republican leadership here in Texas. The governor, the attorney general, the lieutenant governor, they have done nothing to further the cause for abolishing abortion in Texas, which is the only appropriate and right response to the murder of preborn babies in our nation, in our state. If you detect just some frustration, some anger, I just gotta say that, like, there is such a thing as righteous anger. And I'm tired of hearing over and over and over again, man, well, at least we did something, when frankly, we've done nothing. We've done nothing. Abortion is just as legal as it was prior to September 1st, and it's probably just as prevalent. Only now, it's happening behind closed doors inside people's houses instead of at abortion centers like this one behind me. So what are you gonna do about it? What are you gonna do about it? Are you going to engage in debates online with people you don't know about why abortion is wrong? Are you going to wait until the general election and just vote straight ticket Republican because those people are pro-life? Are you going to start getting involved in a substantive way? And guys, there's a political side to this and a non-political side. The political side is, look, you need to be engaged with your representatives year-round, explaining to them that you support not just the incremental regulation of abortion, but the abolition of abortion in Texas. You need to be sending them letters and emails and making phone calls and calling the governor, right? We have legislative sessions every 2 years in Texas. For the last several sessions, we've had opportunities to go down to Austin, or up to Austin based on where you are, to testify in front of committees, and House committees, Senate committees, in favor of abolishing abortion and in opposition of this mediocre, weak, incremental, pro-life legislation that they want to pass without having any real impact. So that's on the political side. There's certainly a lot more than that. If you're looking for more options, I encourage you to go to abolishabortiontexas.org. It might be AATX.org. Just Google Abolish Abortion Texas. You'll find it. But then the other side is, like, what are you doing with your hands and feet? Do you feel a burden for the issue of abortion? Do you feel a burden for the lives of preborn babies in the womb? Do you have a desire to protect them? Well, look, there's a lot of work to be done. All right, the organization that I'm with is called Love Life, and we're just getting started here in Texas in DFW. We're looking to get churches engaged in the work, the important ministry work of protecting those preborn babies, of speaking up for our neighbors who, even if they're the least of these, because they're the smallest of our neighbors, still have great value, are still made in the image of God, are still loved by God. And that's something that you can participate in, whether you're an individual or you're part of a church organization that wants to do more. You can find out more about that at lovelife.org. But listen, I want to conclude this just by saying that don't fall for the hype, don't fall for the individuals or groups who are congratulating themselves and doing victory dances because we won. Saying we won is, right now on this issue, is similar to George W. Bush declaring victory on an aircraft carrier after the conflict in Afghanistan. Guys, we haven't won. There's a lot more to do, and I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer, but I want you to understand that as long as Christians in our nation and churches in our nation are apathetic and refuse to speak up and refuse to take action in a tangible, measurable way, abortion will remain the law and practice of the land in our time.